Good evening and welcome to the December 5th meeting of the Glendale Sustainability Commission. Meetings are broadcast live on Glendale TV, viewable on Spectrum Cable, Channel 6, and AT&T UVerse, Channel 99. Meetings are also streamed live in high definition on the city webpage, glendaleca.gov/live, on youtube.com/myglendale, and on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, iOS, and Android devices using a free app called Cablecast and choosing Glendale TV from the menu. Meetings are also archived on the city website for viewing anytime at glendaleca.gov/agendas. Call 818-548-4013 for program schedules. For public comments and questions during the meeting, call 818-937-8100. Public comments on a specific agenda item will be taken when that agenda item is discussed. If you have any questions about matters on the agenda or requests for assistance, please contact the city clerk at 818-548-2090 during regular business hours. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bartusev.
Here.
Commissioner Werner.
Here.
Commissioner Pinkerton.
Here.
Vice Chair Kartunian. Chairperson Bazemore.
Here.
Ex officio Sanchez.
Here.
Ex officio Ghazarian. Item 1A, Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. Thank you. All right. We would like to acknowledge that we're holding this meeting in the city of Glendale in Tovagnar, the home and traditional lands of the Gabrielino Tongva people. We would like to pay our respects to the elders, both past and present, and the Gabrielino Tongva communities who continue to be stewards of this land. Glendale's history did not start with colonialism. Indigenous communities have lived in this area and been stewards of this land for hundreds of years and numerous generations. The Gabrielino Tongva communities and culture continue to grow and flourish. We encourage our audience to learn more about the Gabrielino Tongva tribe and the many indigenous communities in California and beyond. To get started, you can find a list of books and resources at eglendalelac.org/Native American.
1C, report regarding posting of the agenda. The agenda for the December 5th, 2024 meeting of the Sustainability Commission was posted December 2nd, 2024 on the bulletin board outside City Hall. 2A, approval of minutes. 2A, yes. For the record, ex officio Ghazarian has joined the dais. 2A, approval of minutes. Approval of the minutes of the Commission regular meeting held November 7, 2024.
Are there any comments on the minutes? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
So move. Second.
Roll call. Commissioner Bartusev.
Yes.
Commissioner Werner.
Yes.
Commissioner Pinkerton.
Yes.
Chairperson Bazemore.
Yes.
3, board member staff comments.
Any comments from the commission? Any commissioner comments? Going once?
Yes.
No? Yeah?
I'll go. I have a couple things I wanted to bring up. One, for the general public, a reminder that the Glendale Water and Power is hosting their electric car and bike guest drive event on this Saturday from 10 to 4. This is a opportunity for the public to test drive both electric vehicles and electric bicycles. And it's open to the public, free. And I think GWP is raffling off 2 e-bikes and have some helmet and safety gear giveaways. So I encourage folks to check that out. And there are, for the public's awareness, there's an EV or electric bike rebate, $300 off an electric bicycle. and more if you're part of some assistance programs. And I believe there's other rebates that are EV related as well. So I wanted to let folks know about that event on Saturday. It's from 10 to 4, and it's right here behind City Hall. The other thing, a couple things I wanted to bring up is the drive-through discussion. So I think I brought this up at our October meeting in the hopes that it would be agendized. I think absent the planning department's ability to furnish a staff report for us in a short amount of time, I'd like for us to just draft a letter and send it over to council if the commission agrees. So if there's an appetite or willingness to do that, I'd like to get a second to have action item on our January agenda on this topic.
Second.
Okay. Do we need anything else for that to be agendized? Okay, I'm getting a head nod. Okay, great. And then I actually wanted to bring up a second item along the same kind of strategy. Is I saw in a city newsletter a couple days ago that the city was awarded $6 million from the Department of the Interior to develop what we're calling Central Park. It's technically a new park, but it's a park that is being constructed and built as the past Central Park was displaced. It got me thinking it would be great for the commission to take a position on appealing to council that we prioritize any grant funding and seeking out additional funds for new park space and expanded park space, specifically in South Glendale. Something that I think is a priority for the city, and I've heard many people talk about, and yet we're not seeing the fruits of those discussions. So maybe not for the January meeting, but maybe perhaps in February that we likewise take action and give council explicit recommendation to have them prioritize and find funding for new park space in South Glendale. And I say this now because the budget season is coming up, and I think this is an appropriate time for us to make a recommendation, a policy recommendation to council on this particular topic.
Yeah, I second that.
May I ask a question before we proceed?
Yes, Chair, members of the Sustainability Commission, I think it would be important to connect the Commission's mission with the desire to make a policy recommendation on the parks, because we do have a Parks Commission, and that is their jurisdiction to investigate, grant funding and develop policies and make recommendations as an advisory body for Parks and Recreation. So I just wanted to add that to the record for your consideration, that it should be connected with the work plan. I think Mr. Jones would concur with that. All right, thank you.
Just a quick question. Are the funds allocated just for purchase of land or purchase and development as a park? Do you know the?
I didn't see the particulars. It was a little blurb on the city newsletter, and the headline was that we had received this $6 million grant from the Department of the Interior. So I don't know what the particulars are of that grant, but I know there's federal funding, state, regional. I know LA County has made a point of this for quite some time. So anyway, I hear the point about the Parks Commission. However, we do, I think part of our climate action adaptation plan talks about open space and green space. So I understand it's a gray area, but I don't think it's inappropriate for our commission to take a policy position on something that perhaps pertains to more than one commission.
Yeah, there's specifically a priority to support expansion of green spaces and parks as one of our action plan items.
Also, it's another chance to weigh in on plastic turf. I know many of us would not like to see any additional use of that. since that product is not recyclable and it's fossil fuel-based, so.
So a question I have regarding both of these items, which I support as well, but what, in terms of like the action that we would take as a commission during the meeting, would we need to discuss and kind of refine the points, which we then give to staff to convey to council? Or how does this, what does the finished product look like? And what do we complete here at the meeting?
Thank you, Chairperson Bazemore. And Commissioner Bartrussif actually asked us to dig out a letter from Glendale Water and Power Commission to use as an example, which they wrote to the City Council. So I have a copy of that letter here for you to look at and review. So I think the idea would be maybe for Commissioner Bartrussif to maybe draft a letter and then bring that to the next commission meeting. He would submit it to staff prior, 2 weeks prior to the date of the commission meeting. Then it would become part of that agenda. And then the commissioners could discuss the contents of that letter, whether they want to change it, whether they approve it. And then at that point, if they agree the letter, then the chair would sign the letter. And that would be then sent to City Council and CC to City Manager and other relevant heads of the departments. So that would be my recommendation. So I have this here. So if you want to take a copy and pass it around, just as an example of the letter that was written. So
Fantastic. Yeah, that's helpful to know. And then with regards to how that's conveyed to council and staff, does that require an item on City Council's agenda, or does that get provided to them separate of a normal council meeting?
the Assistant City Attorney can correct me if I'm wrong, but I assume this commission would review the letter, and your action would be that we want this letter sent to City Council, so then it would get sent to City Council. Wouldn't necessarily, I don't think, be put on the City Council agenda, but they would receive a copy of the correspondence from this commission.
Okay, great. Because I know, at least when it comes to other action items that we deliberate up here, oftentimes those are recommendations that are accompanying an action item that's going to council already, and it's included, I think, in the staff report. So this would be something slightly different than that, is what I'm understanding.
Correct.
Okay.
So for that be example, like you did with the plastics, you
Right.
weighed in, you made your recommendations. That will all be all those recommendations that you say will be in the staff report going to council, and then council will decide on that. But since council hasn't asked the commission directly to provide them a recommendation on drive-throughs, they said the letter would be the way to convey your thoughts.
So were this to come to council at a future meeting of theirs, just to talk about drive-throughs or to talk about the parks, would our letter kind of come back up at that point? Or would it be, like, would that be something that they could have on hand to refer back to? Or would that need to be something we would need to bring up again, I guess?
It would not necessarily
Okay.
be part of their agenda.
Okay.
I think if you spoke to your counterparts and asked them to bring it up, because they have a process of where they want future agenda items placed in the meeting, so they have to
Yeah.
go through that process, and those items have to be voted on, and then they get placed in City Council agenda. So
Okay.
they have a process.
I'm just imagining if it was further review of the drive-throughs, and there's a staff report, that our previous action here might be, potentially a footnote in there. Okay. Well, thank you for that. I guess we don't need to do roll call for that. Are there any other
Do have,
comments?
Yeah.
Or please.
I'm never sure whether to offer these now or later in the meeting, but comments or suggestions for something that might want to be agendized in the future? Is this the appropriate time? Okay. So I got here a little early and learned from overhearing what Nora and David were talking about, that they are doing outreach to landscapers. And so I was going to suggest maybe something, just a suggestion that you outreach to the Glendale Homeowners Coordinating Council, and Commissioner Warner is still involved with that group, with the idea that I did not know how expensive commercial grade electric landscaping equipment is. I bought some plug and battery versions myself, but they obviously were not commercial grade. They were only a couple $100. But it might be a good idea to do a presentation to that organization, because you might have some homeowners that are willing to share equipment if their landscapers don't have electric equipment now. I was doing that when I shared my electric blower with 2 other neighbors on the street. So just a suggestion there, because that could ease some of the burden on the landscapers having to buy those things independently. And then another suggestion regarding, kind of on green space, but not really, the center down Glen Oaks, for almost the entirety of Glen Oaks, going toward Burbank, has turf, has grass in the center. I don't ever see anybody sitting on it. I don't think it's utilized as a park at all. I was wondering about inviting various community groups or school groups who might get community service credits to take out the lawn. That could be a major city project, take out the lawn, go segment by segment, and replace it with xeriscaping, native plants, rather than having to water the turf out there. So I just think that would be a great welcome to Glendale if you're coming in on Glen Oaks. And the fact that losing the lawn, getting rid of turf, I just heard somebody say I won't say what the language is, but DWP apparently has some billboards out there now about losing the lawn, and I don't think people understand how expensive, the time, the upkeep, the water consumption. Then if you mow your lawn, you're generating green waste that has to be processed if you don't practice grass cycling. So I'm just suggesting that as a community project. Thanks.
I think that's a great idea, personally. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say that's at the very least watered with recycled water. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Right.
But, yeah. Okay. Any comments from staff? No? Okay, great.
Yes, the January meeting date. So we are scheduled to meet January 2nd, which is obviously just right after the winter holidays. So you may want to pick another date, I don't know, but it's something for
Yeah, didn't we
the
talk about
commissioners to
this
consider.
last month?
Did we end up circling,
Oh, I thought
honing in
some
on the
dates would
date?
Be floated to us.
I think for now, maybe we can determine if that date even works for us, and then potentially over email, we could not discuss, but we could hear from staff on some other alternatives, unless there's alternatives already available.
Well, I think if you're going to have a discussion with that, you can't have that discussion over email, so I think the
Right.
discussion has to be here.
Okay. Well, I don't recall what we discussed at the last meeting about this, but was there an intention to pick a different week from everyone? Did we
Yes.
reach that consensus? Okay. Would the following week work?
The 9th.
On Thursday also?
That works for me.
Works
personally.
for me.
Yes.
Okay. So then,
That could be scheduled as a special meeting.
it's a special meeting, of course. Okay, well, if that works, I think we just have to hear if it works usually for GTV, right? Unless there's some other conflict. Do we want to pick like a fallback date in case that doesn't work? Would like the Wednesday work, or maybe just one other date that week?
Yeah,
Just
I
in
could- I
case.
could do Wednesday, the 8th.
Would Wednesday? Okay. Does that work for everyone? Yeah? Okay, so one of those,
Work with other boards and commissions,
Right.
so it may be the first and third Wednesdays are the planning commission, but we do have other commissions that meet, so staff may need to go back and look at where there isn't a conflict with another board and commission.
okay, perfect. Well, this would be technically the second Wednesday, so maybe that'll work. If the Thursday, the 9th doesn't
Well, the
work.
first Wednesday is the 1st,
Right.
January 1st.
So they wouldn't be meeting
Yeah.
probably anyways,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
it
so
might
they
be
may,
just a
yeah, they
canceled.
may plan to cancel, yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
So we will schedule for the 9th unless there's a conflict with me or another commission meeting another commission meeting on that date. If that's the case, I'll connect with the chair.
okay, perfect. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. What's next, Nora?
Next is 4, oral communications, discussions limited to items within the jurisdiction of the Sustainability Commission. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Sustainability Commission members may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. The matter may be referred to staff for investigation and report. We currently have no callers on the line or comment cards.
Okay.
5 is action items, and we have no action items. So 6, reports and information. 6A, Sustainability Commission 2025 Work Plan Discussion.
So, Commissioners, it's that time of year again where we need to look at the Commission's work for the year ahead. Nora is actually going to lead this discussion on this item today, but I'm just going to provide the Commission just a brief overview of the Sustainability Office work plan for 2025, just so you can have that in the background as you consider your own work plan, whether there's any areas that you want to overlap or coordinate on, but just to give you context of, again, what we're going to be doing in the office and then how that may fit or may not fit into the work plan as you enter into your discussions regarding that. So, as an office, we have 3 primary goals that we want to achieve for 2025. The first goal is to reduce the city's carbon impact, and that primarily be done through hopefully the adoption of the Climate Action Adaptation Plan by City Council, if that gets adopted, working on the short-term actions and measures that have been outlined in that plan. And also to very much work on investigate and obtain grant funding for some of those measures and actions, so we have the financial resources where necessary to be able to implement them. Our second goal is to continue to obtain community support for our sustainability programs. We're very much focused in getting out there in the community, getting the community to understand what we're trying to do within the Sustainability Office, get them to trust in our programs and our sustainability programs, and get them to be able to have a conversation with us, call us, and speak to us about their wants and needs regarding sustainability, but just to create that conversation between us and our community. And also just to make sure that people know who we are, that we are here as an office, and that we can help people, like direct them to resources and everything. So just to make sure that that brand is out there, that the city has a sustainability office, and that we are open for business, and that we are very much open for people to connect with us and talk to us about sustainability issues. And then our third goal is to support this council, obviously, this commission, obviously, and city council. Just by doing that, just being professional, presenting well thought out, well-researched reports to you so you can make good recommendations and good decisions. And then I think one thing that we do want to talk focus on is the language around climate change, and maybe talking a little bit more about climate resiliency, because I think that has a little more currency in today's climate as opposed to talking about climate change, where there seems to be a little bit of pushback. And I don't know whether you listened to the Assistant General Manager of the Water Division Services at the City Council meeting last week. He gave a very good presentation talking about resiliency and the fact that we need to have a resilient water infrastructure for the future of Glendale. And I think that's a great way to have a conversation with our community and with our council, and it's a good way for people to have a safe conversation talking about climate change. So, talking about, sustainability programs in general. So these are our key 3 goals. And then within those goals, we have a number of initiatives to help us support and achieve those goals. So I'll go through these very, very quickly. The first one is to establish our internal CAP working group. We actually have an internal communications group that has liaisons from all different departments. And that's a really good way to make sure that, when we get, if the CAP gets adopted, gets up and running, we have departmental representation regarding the CAP and regarding the action. So there's that conversation between the Sustainability Office and the different departments, so we can support the different departments as they go about trying to implement the actions that they're responsible for. And it's an area just to talk about, what's working, what's not working, how can we overcome barriers, et cetera, et cetera. Also, just to continue our internal education about the CAP, why we have it, what's the benefit of it, and to make sure that staff are well aware of it. Again, plug into regional actors such as LARC, as we have done recently here, and the South Coast Air Quality Management District and SCAG. Just because we're all working a lot of the same things, and we don't want to kind of like reinvent the wheel or like work in conflict with other jurisdictions and everything, so to make sure that we have that cooperation. And then to continue our partnerships with our community-based organizations. Our community-based organizations are really, really helpful to us as we're doing the outreach for the Climate Action Adaptation Plan. So we want to continue to develop those relationships and help them be a conduit in us in our discussions with the community. Electrification, you know, we're going to continue our research on electrification, electric buildings and everything, and then, you know, we hopefully coming back to this commission soon and city council soon with an alternative reach code. But also begin to talk about developing the infrastructure, trying to get those professionals who understand electrification and everything and try to create that list and that resource on our website. So homeowners who do want to maybe go down the electrification route, we can provide them, like, there's these contractors who understand this and have knowledge of this new field. We want to establish our internal Buy Nothing group. So I think that Nora's going to try and head up the development of that. Meet with our department heads, our directors of the departments around the CAP to make sure they have their continued support in the development of that project. And yeah, just to continue our outreach into the community regarding the Climate Action Adaptation Plan. Again, identify the phase 1 budget needs from the CAP. Rincon is providing us some of that information. They've also provided us identified different grants that we can use for different actions and measures in the CAP. So again, once it gets, if it gets adopted, move forward with trying to assess some of those grants to make sure that we can go ahead with implementation. And we have, we're going to have some assistance to helping us to prepare and write those grants too. And then we want to continue to grow our volunteer network. Those are really helpful to us as we put on events such as Earth Day and other events. The volunteers come up and assist us. And that also just creates that good spirit, that good communication within our community. As you know, Nora and her team have done a wonderful job with our social media platforms. So we want to continue that, continue our reach with social media, continue people, I don't know the technical terms, but people that actually take action and follow us on social media. And continue our events such as Earth Day, the Repair Cafe, the clothing swaps. These are really, really popular in our community, so we want to make sure that we do continue those and we do provide support for those, but also expand those potentially into college and school programs, as Commissioner Pinkerton said, working or visiting HOAs too regarding that. So again, just being out there in the community, we think is really important for us. And then I said, prepare high quality staff reports. So that's our kind of direction for the next 12 months. Again, just thought it might be worthwhile information as you discuss the work plan that you want to establish for yourselves. Yeah. So with that, I'll hand back over.
Can I ask a quick question?
Oh, sorry.
Regarding resiliency and development of the CAP, have various departments been interviewed, given different scenarios? Let's say we have 10 more days exceeding 100 degrees, that could imply more water usage by the fire department or need for cooling shelters. I'm just wondering, have the departments been presented with various scenarios and funds needed or staff or other resources needed to respond to those?
So thank you for that question. So as part of the development of the Climate Action Adaptation Plan, one of the first projects we did was a climate vulnerability assessment, which identified all those, like how many extra heat days, how much extra rain there's going to be at those rain events, air quality days. So all that information was provided to the departments as they looked at developing the actions and measures within the CAP. So indirectly, yes, they have been provided that information. And again, I'd recommend listening to Assistant General Manager's Water Division, and he addressed that directly in his presentation to City Council.
I have a question as well. So I noticed for a lot of the items on there, which all look great, by the way, there are a lot of TBDs on the budget. And I'm just curious if that's something that are going to be hopefully brought up with the CAP. I mean, is a lot of this dependent on the CAP, or is this work that you will hopefully continue doing regardless of whether that CAP's adopted or not?
So yes, our office is entering our budget process. So that's why it's TBD right now, because we haven't had our budget meeting. So we're going to be having that in January, February. And through that budget meeting, we'll identify the different resources needed and then include that into this plan. So that's why at this point, we haven't had that meeting.
Yeah, it's okay. Because it does seem like there's more work that's going on, there will be going on, so certainly dependent on more resources for your office. So, okay. Thanks.
Alrighty. Now to go into the work plan discussion for the commission. As the name suggests, this happens annually, so hello again. For this meeting, we'll be going over the 2024 work plan. And unlike previous meetings, we won't be discussing project priorities for the 2025 work plan now. We'll be discussing that in January. For now, we'll be discussing the formatting that the process will be like for next month. So to start, the 2024 work plan is as follows. The commission had identified 5 project priority areas, and those priority areas align with the CAP priority areas. They are public outreach, mobility and land use, urban ecosystems, social and governance systems, as well as building systems. These 5 priority areas were selected to ensure alignment with the overarching climate action plan so that the work of the commission also helped contribute to the work of the CAP. And for the priority areas, 23 projects were selected, as well as leads for the projects. Next to the projects that have asterisk marks, those were selected as project priorities. And then over here, the bingo card shows what was accomplished from the 2024 work plan. You can see there's a lot of earths on here, and those were all the projects that were accomplished. Unfortunately, no full bingo. But you have some half earths over there too. So a lot of good work was accomplished, including recommendations on the 2024 bicycle transportation plan, feedback on the EPP progress, recruitment of 2 new ex officios, and then recommendations on the climate action plan, Earth Day fair, so on and so forth.
Can I just say,
Yes.
I know. Go ahead.
in January, I think we might hit a bingo
Oh, which one?
with that half Earth under 2A. So I'm looking forward to that discussion.
It's at the bottom too.
Oh yeah, the drive-through moratorium.
5, right? Is that what you're referring to?
Oh yes, there you go. Maybe we'll do 1.5 Earths in one spin.
It's a,
There you
That's
go.
right.
Very exciting.
We also got to pick a prize then. All right, for 2025, we suggest that we continue using the same priority areas. Again, these align with the CAP, and it's the same systems that is lined up and written in the CAP. They are outreach and engagement, building systems, urban ecosystems, mobility and land use, social and governance systems. But for the projects this year, that we'd like to have the discussion in January 2025, we are kicking it back to the commission and having the commission pick the projects. So by next commission meeting, our suggestion is for each commissioner to identify project priorities to fit within the focus areas. So for example, you could choose communication to council as a project, and that would go under social and governance systems. Our suggestion is that the commission comes to the next meeting with a 5-minute elevator pitch, so to speak. And we also have guidelines for those pitches. Our recommendation is to consult with the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan to identify relevant projects and to also consult with the 2024 projects that were not accomplished. Our guidelines for the pitches is as follows. We recommend that each commissioner submit 5 project priorities, and then to share those project priorities with us 2 weeks from now on Thursday, December 19th. Then what we'll do is we'll take those project priorities and put it on a slide under each commissioner's name. Then each commissioner gets 5 minutes to present their slide. Afterwards, there'll be an at-large discussion. Any questions? Or suggestions?
by project, if you can go back, Nora, to the one from 2024. So this is the end product still. So we are going to stick with, do we want to stick with the same priorities? Is that what we're being instructed, or what
Suggested
you're
to.
recommending?
Correct.
Is staying with these priorities and then working on updating, refining, adding the project list
Correct.
on the right. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. So in some cases, it may look similar. I imagine there's a lot of these items on here that may want to be continued, but there might be an opportunity to cross them off, add some new ones. So, okay. How does that?
Yes, I think the rationale for the approach is to give you much more of an opportunity to input into the plan. It was like Commissioner Bartros, like drive-throughs are important to him, as well as the other things that he mentioned. So it give you the opportunity to say, like, these are really important to me. This is something that I think we need to address as a commission. So we haven't quite done that previously. It was like more staff-led. So this year we very much wanted to be commission-led, and then you provide us the information. So
Yeah.
that's the rationale.
I ask
Please.
2 quick questions, if I may. Does the city have a speakers bureau where you promote subject matter experts to go speak to the Chamber of Commerce or different businesses? LA has, or some city of LA departments have those. They might want to, like Alec might be on a list to talk about transportation. Does Glendale have anything like that?
I am unaware, but I can
Okay.
try and find out.
Okay. And also, do we do any regular, the city, do any regular outreach to CBOs? Is there like an annual summit or conference of any type?
Not a formal summit or conference. What we do have is a list of every CBO, and when there are events, we simply invite them.
A clarifying question. So the homework assignment for us, if you will, is to come up with a project for one for each of us, or is it a set of projects? Like, I understood it as one. Is that right?
5 project priorities for each priority area, or if you'd like, you can choose to allocate them however you'd like.
Got it.
Say one priority area gets 3 projects and another one gets 2 projects, and that's total of 5.
I see. From each of us.
Correct.
Got it. So you're getting more projects than you got from us last year. So 7 times 5.
Correct. And what we can do is we can see if there's any similarities between 2 commissioners' submissions, and we can note those similarities. And what we can also do during the discussion is put asterisk marks next to ones you would like to be on the work plan, and those would be the votes.
Got it.
Can I ask one more sort of a implementation question? So for example, Commissioner Werner and I are listed for number 3. We've got the donation e-waste drives. What I do in LA is I've recruited different departments to sponsor donation bins, and we have 2-month-long donation drives throughout the year. And then we give all those donations to different nonprofits. So how would we implement something like this? Let's say we really wanted to get this up to speed. Would you carry this message saying you talk to facility managers? Can we place donation bins in the lobbies of City Hall, et cetera? Or would this have to go to council? Just wondering what the process is, if you've gone that far with it.
I gave you a half earth for that because that's something that's kind of incorporated under our Repair Cafe and Clothing Swap. We do collect donations for the clothing swap, and what happened during our last bundle is we accepted donations and we had free books there and we had free items there. It wasn't as formal as, bins, and it wasn't a lot of items, but we did have some. And we also had a free market during Earth Day Fair, and that was also when we had a lot of items that circulated throughout the community. So maybe that's something that could be expanded on and incorporated under the Repair Cafe and Clothing Swap event, since we do have some sort of free market going on there.
Right. I'm just wondering, like, how many people pay their GWP bills in person, for example, and come into city buildings? What kind of traffic you get on a regular basis that might indicate a good place for a donation bin. But thank you. I'm going to aim for an entire
Something I just thought of looking at this, that might be an exercise that we can do once this is complete, would be to try and forecast out all of this for the year in some way. I'm thinking about the GWP Commission and how they have sort of regular updates they get from GWP's various divisions, as well as other things they do on a regular basis. And I'm just thinking, like, for instance, we had, I'm forgetting her name unfortunately, but the woman that came from Sacramento and gave us the legislative update, you know, that's something we can already anticipate that we'd probably want to do. Speaking for myself, would love to have her come back, give that update again in September. So maybe that's on here, I think, recommendation to City Council's on City Council's legislative platform. You know, maybe we can think sort of long-term for the whole year and determine when all of these work plan ideas would fit in, and like what are those actionable things that we want to do or have a discussion on. Because I see that as part of the reason why some of these things might have fallen through the cracks is they didn't get agendized, they didn't make their way onto our schedule, you know, and that's, I think we let it slide, or however that happened. So I think that would be something, maybe we could even include that in I don't know if that's a discussion we would have in January, or it would be more of an agenda setting discussion. But thoughts on that from anyone? No?
I think what you're recommending is a good idea, because things did fall through the cracks.
And I think that'd be beneficial to staff too, because you can almost calendar out what's going to come to every meeting and everything. So,
Yeah.
So we could have more time to prepare the reports and
Right.
like get information from other staff departments. So yeah, I think that's a great suggestion.
Okay. Okay, great.
I had a question on the slide. So there would be bullet points. It would say like what category it went, or do you have an example of what one of these slides would look like? I just want to get an idea of what that would be.
What I can do is show you.
And are we sort of like pitching this to one another to get buy-in, like, you know, vote on my priority or, you know, action plan or what item, or is it more informational or just more of a poll of like where we all, you know, what we have in mind as far as what we would prioritize?
A bit of both. So it would be a discussion between yourselves to see what you all think the priorities should be for 2025 for this commission. And it would also be to see if there is any coordination between two commissioners of wanting to work on that project. And then if there is, then that would be the vote, which is the asterisk mark, which would mean two commissioners agree on this project. And this is what it would look like. So what I did here is I left the priority areas, and then I erased the projects that were accomplished, and I just left the projects that weren't accomplished under each priority area. So what my hope would be is after the January meeting to fill in these priority areas with things that the commission agree on, with projects that the commission agrees on.
Okay. So it might be helpful to have that template as a, you know, single PowerPoint thing, and you just send it out, and then it'll look kind of cohesive when we're all doing it. We don't have all like different backgrounds and different formats and things like that. That might help us, you know, save some time too.
Whatever makes sense, Nora. If it's easy to send out a template, I think that works great. Otherwise, we can just send our bullet points, 5 bullet points, to you.
I can just send out this template. I can just put, instead of suggestion, each commissioner's name, and then the commissioner can just fill out.
Okay. Great.
Great, thank you.
Can I ask a quick question that'll help me formulate my thoughts on this? What's the status of the cap, and what timeline are we looking at for potential adoption?
So right now we're going through the CEQA process of the CAP. So we're doing the initial study. Rincon's going to present those findings to us. They're going to be reviewed internally by the city's attorney's office. and then we're going to have further discussions with Rincon depending on the results of the initial study. The aim is to go to council in March 2025 for adoption.
For adoption. Okay. Great. Thank you.
And I had a question, since one of my priority areas was the, e-waste collection and donation drives and so on. How did that go in November? You mentioned a little bit about it, but as far as like numbers, was it more successful than the last one or not? Or were there areas for improvement or scaling up or something that we need to know about?
In November, 8 small batteries were donated. Prior to that, it was Casa Verdugo Library in September, only 3 were donated. And the donation bins are at the library. They're always there. It doesn't just come with us just for that event. It just gets collected there, and it's year-round every single day. So I don't have day-to-day data, but I do know how many batteries get collected on that day during the event.
Is that just the central library, or do you have battery buckets in all of them?
Every library.
Yeah, I don't think that's widely known. I think, I know it's come up here before, but I think that's another opportunity for, just getting the word out more. But my mission is that an electronic item or battery should be as easy to recycle as it is, or properly dispose of as it is to purchase. And so we're a long ways away from that. So there was an event in November, wasn't there? A clothing drive and Fix It and tinkering and all that. So that's the one that only had 3 batteries?
That had 8. The one before that in September, the clothing swap, had 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's a substantial increase, but definitely room for improvement. Well, percentage-wise.
Percentage-wise, it's huge.
But yeah, I think a lot of people are sitting on e-waste that they don't know what to do with, or they're simply throwing it in the trash. So, I guess we don't really know. But, there have been, fires started from, the e-waste and so on. So it's, really, a public issue, I think. So, okay. Great. Well, thanks. And thanks for all your work on that. I assume you're still looking for tinkerers.
Next one is in March. Correct. We'll start recruitment in February.
Okay. Do you have a specific date yet?
March 8th, I believe. I have to double check that.
Okay.
I'll add, unless this is going to come up with the office updates, but I did attend the last Fix-It clinic and participated as a tinkerer, and it was very rewarding. It was a lot of fun. Got to work on a few things. Fixed an electric walk that needed a new stand, and a couple other things, but worth attending. We always had, for the most part, we were all busy, but if you have something, bring it. We'll try and get you in. I'm sure there'll be someone that can help you. So that's my plug.
We should probably honor the tinkerers at some future meeting.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, tinker training might be nice. But I used to go to this ballroom thing. It was like they do Victorian ballroom dances, but they would do these dance lessons like a week out so you could learn some of the dances and then perform them. So it's nice. It helps to have a, prep course sort of thing in advance.
Okay. Well, thanks, Nora. Thanks, David. That sounds good for the plan, and you'll convey this to Commissioner Kartunian. Okay.
And where will the clothing swap be? I just want to put it on my calendar while I'm thinking of it.
Next one is going to be Brand Library. I did check the dates. It's March 1st for the clothing swap and then March 8th for the Repair Cafe, both at Brand Library.
Oh, 2 separate events. Okay, Repair Cafe on the 8th. Okay. So that's
Okay. And what's
okay,
next?
Thank you.
Next is Sustainability Office updates.
I'm sorry, before you move on, did you have any comments or cards on that particular item?
No.
Okay, just wanted to confirm
Yeah,
since we
thank you.
have some individuals in the audience. Thank you.
Mhm.
We currently have no updates.
Okay.
And then item 8, adjournment.
All right. Expedient. Anyone, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I never heard, did we actually have a sustainability report or update or, okay, just
It
wanted
sounded
to
like
make
they
sure.
had no office updates. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Just wanted to make sure.
yes, we
Before we
didn't
adjourn.
skip over them.
Okay.
All right.
All right, and move to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.